Hello everybody, welcome back to Midlife Gaming, and we're back in Factorio. We're having some fun building up our base and destroying some little creatures and basically getting stuff built up. So it's the weekend, the family's all out. I'm sitting here having a lovely day, got my cup of tea next to me, which is a requirement if you're British. You have to have a cup of tea when you play games. It's just the law in the UK. So anyway, what are we going to do today? We firstly need to address a bit of an issue which I noticed. The issue being that we are struggling for power. We are not creating enough electricity. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to expand this little coal network here and put some more burners across this way and get some more water coming in from here. But also looking at this down here, our coal is slightly diminished, so probably going to put a couple more miners in here just to get this belt really full up with coal completely, because we are going to need it. So I'm going to have to remove this gun turret first of all. We have had a few little attacks in as well, just down the south on our wall, so it was a very good idea that we put this in. As you can see, we've got a few biters, nothing serious there at the moment. Very small base down the bottom, I believe. And yeah, that's something we're going to have to address fairly soon. Not urgent, but it will get worse as we go, so we will need to address that. The other thing we're going to look at doing today is we are going to look at building some new transport. And if we go back to our map again quickly, you can see over here we've got this iron. And we've got this iron, and I also noticed that just up on this little map here we've got some coal. We'll probably use that a little bit. There's a fair amount there. It won't keep us going forever, but it will help us out with some bits. We want to start to build our first railway cars, which is very handy because railways require iron, which I've got just here. They require stone, which I've got plenty there, and they also require steel, which is going to be quite nice because we'll be able to build it all down here. And once we get the tracks and the trains and the stations up and running, it should be fairly easy to start transporting stuff from place to place, and then we really start to get the expansion going for the base. And yeah, we'll start to really rack up and ramp up our production lines, so we'll start building bigger factories, getting a lot more resources in, and just basically getting a lot more done. So yes, I think for the moment we're still good on our research. We're hopefully cracking on there. A few more to come along. We've got concrete. I might look at getting some of that soon. We'll let that run out and then we'll stack up in a minute when we do that. The first things first though is power. This needs to be addressed because once you lose your power, everything slows down. So all these miners are actually working slower than they should be because they've got low power. So we are going to address that right now. So I'm going to come back in a second once I've built this up and put a little bit of a bolster for our supply. So I'll catch you soon. There we go. Right, we've effectively doubled our power supply quite easily. So you can now see that we, instead of having 7 megawatts, we're 14.5 using 8.2. That should speed things up in the factory quite a lot, so our research will be quicker and various other things. We are still running a little short on coal. We will need to get that addressed once we get our oil out, but once we get the trains up and running, oil production will then be the next thing, and we can then produce a lot better oil, a lot better fuel source from there, which will be a lot easier, a lot nicer for us. So one of the other things we need to look at is, so I've just noticed there, the little red dot on that miner, little red dot just there means there's no resources, so we'll take that out of the ground. These still have got plenty of resources, but just like to tidy up as we go. We'll need those later. So I want to see if we can get a bit more production going down here, because these bricks are not coming out quick enough. We could do a lot more of these walls because we're going to use these later for other things. I want to make sure we've got plenty there. I think our research is doing okay for the black military science. Yeah, we've got plenty of it on that belt. So the green and the red look like they're struggling somewhat. Still plenty of resource going, it's just time it's taken to produce them and get them back onto the belt again. So that's slowing us down a little. Not too bad. We won't suffer too much, but we will eventually want to try and upgrade this to make it a bit quicker. Maybe put some speed modules in there or something. It looks like the copper's slowing down a bit. We might want to put a bit more copper in there. Might need to do a bit of a redesign of that. I think we'll probably look at putting the copper smelting maybe a bit further over this way. Because obviously once we get more copper coming in, we'll want to do it somewhere a bit tidier, a bit more spacious. This was really only a temporary setup to start with, get our base going. I mean, we could really smelt copper up here, and then once we start exploiting this large patch up here, this is plenty. This will give us a massive amount of copper for later. Oh no, we just had an attack as well. Let's have a look down here. Yeah, small attack, nothing major. Got plenty of ammunition in those guns. Should be okay for the moment. Yeah, cool. Right, let's get this built a bit more, get some more bricks coming out. We're going to want the bricks later for building the what are we looking at? There's the furnaces, which are the slightly better furnaces, the steel furnaces. They need stone bricks and steel plates, fairly easy to make. I think they're used later for other things as well. They'll just make us a bit more efficient in our production, as in they'll burn and melt stuff twice as quick, which is good, so we want that. Right, for the moment I'm going to quickly double this production here. I'm going to work a way of putting an output belt somewhere down here so that it goes underground belt wise to here somehow. Yeah, and I'll come back to you when that's done. There we go, much tidier. That looks a lot nicer like that. We've got a little underground belt there. We can change this later once we get cliff explosives and destroy this, but for the moment it's sitting there nicely going, doing what it's doing. So we're all good with that. That's happy. Another attack incoming, southern wall again. Yeah, they're starting to get a bit more frequent down here. This one is doing all the damage. So they seem to be coming from, logically, I would say this base here perhaps. Maybe this one as well. But yeah, we'll get to them at some point. So I think the next thing we want to do is get some train tracks up and running, and some trains basically going through the system, because we are going to want to transport more stuff. I've also realised I've got all this iron sitting here not being exploited, so I'm probably going to start covering this with some miners, just so that we don't need to do it later. And we've obviously got enough iron going through the system. We've got plenty as it is at the moment, but we will use a lot more of this, especially once we get our new furnaces up and running. These will all get replaced up here and be a lot quicker at what they're doing and produce a lot more material, so they'll burn through this iron a lot faster. So I'm probably going to start jamming some more miners on here, which I'll probably do off camera. Right, there we go. So I've built myself the little factory here for making railways. What this does, it produces little tracks which we can then lay down like belts. So essentially they're belts for trains, which we will need thousands and thousands of these later on. They're also going to be used in research later on for another science pack. So this is why we're building extra. And what I've done, I've built it here so that we can extend this later if we need to. We can fill this in with landfill later if we want to as well. But I'm just taking a stack of these, or some stacks of these off for our own building purposes, because we're going to need these for building up our railway infrastructure. And these ones here will just be used later for going into the research, which is quite handy because they can be built over here and go up into our research packs there. So what I've done, I've basically stripped off a little belt from the steel at the top. I've made a cheeky little factory there that's stealing these plates, turn them into metal rods, which then go into the same belt as the steel, so they come out on one belt. And I've just grabbed some some stone from this side, and they're just going straight in there, and they're being built up nicely as they go. So lovely, easy little job. And we'll crack on with doing the rest of this, which I think the next thing we're going to need to do for trains, we are going to need engines. So we are going to need an engine factory, and engines, I believe, use pipes and steel, I think it is. We can't produce them ourselves. But yeah, so iron gears, 2 pipes and steel plates. So we'll set up a factory for the pipes, which we'll use later anyway, so we'll need lots of pipes. And we'll grab those off the main belt at the top, and we'll factor in where we're going to put that. And once we've built a couple of locomotives, we'll probably get 2 to start with. And we'll put each locomotive with 4 cargo wagons. And we'll probably grab some fluid wagons for later once we get the oil set up and running. And we'll start building our railway infrastructure. So we'll get the pieces in place, and then we can start laying it all down and build our little train set, and we can be the fat controller of the day. So I'll get back to you once we have our pipe factory started. Just quickly, I remembered that I had hand grenades and I hadn't picked any up. So I thought I'd quickly show you the effectiveness of hand grenades. As you can see, if you put them on your little bar down the bottom here, you can't put them in your gun inventory over this side, but if you put them here, They display as a big circle around you. That's your area of effect, obviously, and you can use them for quite quickly clearing trees, which is really nice. Obviously, you are destroying the trees. You're not getting any benefit back from it, but by the point that you're at now when you're doing this, it's sometimes easy just to blow the trees up and get them out of the way so you can lay railway tracks through here, or walls, or just extend your factory. As you can see, we're going to start extending this through here at some point. I have extended the wall at the top just a bit. We'll probably get a bit more of that going right across as far as we can. Going to need some defences up there, I think, as well at some point. But yeah, for the moment, we're going to crack on building this factory. There we go. Lovely engines all getting made, except that one seems to not be. Let's just... let me just go back in and change that. No idea what I've done. Let's just pop that to an engine as well. So there you go. That's going to start feeding in there. Engines should start coming out here. As you can see, they're quite slow. Even with these faster factories, they're still not very quick at being made. This is a bit of a bottleneck later on when you need these engines for research. I believe they get put in the research with the railways. I could be wrong, but that's what I understand. So they do become quite slow. We will need more of these later making these, so we've basically made it so that we can expand this later if we want, push it up there and come back down here. So we've always got plenty of space to expand. Same with the pipes, pretty much the same with everything. You'll see a format that I use, which most players will use, to be fair, which gives you a bit of redundancy for expanding later on. So it makes it a lot easier. We'll just put a balancer in there as well so that we get both sides of this belt like this. And we will go along and snatch a few of these off the belt later because we're going to need it to build our first few trains. We're going to need a couple of radars as well. Want to make sure we've got good coverage where we're going to. And I think we're going to want to start getting our oil put in at some point. Yeah, that probably should be the first thing we look at doing. Yeah, we may do the oil in the next episode, just to be sure. I think I've got to bite the bullet here and actually change these furnaces for the copper. We're actually starting to run quite low and it's starting to struggle. Going to need to look at rebuilding this in a better location, I think, and we'll get that increased. The iron's still doing well. We've got plenty of iron ore coming through. There's still plenty of copper ore coming through, to be fair. It's just they're not being turned into plates quick enough. So I've got these new ones here. Wherever I've put them, they've lost on my bar. There we go. Need to go to spec savers. Where are we going to put these? Let's just there for the moment. And what these are is just literally just go over the top, and you can just replace them like that, nice and easy. And then they're going to go twice as quick. There you go. Let's get rid of that iron in there as well. And there you can see the belt's actually starting to fill up a little quicker now. So a good improvement on the originals. And the original ones can then be repurposed for whatever, or eventually we'll just end up putting them in a box and getting rid of them. But for the moment, they're probably quite handy to use up various other places. And it looks like we're struggling a bit on the military science. I'm not sure why. What are we missing there? Red ammunition. Ah, right, okay. The reason for that is I did take a lot of ammunition out of this box, and I've put some more in my inventory and more in the Jeep as well, just so we've got spares. So this is just filling up here at the moment. What I might do is just narrow that down to 2 for the moment. That should be a little easier. And these guys are taking more copper in as well, so that copper change we've just done will increase and affect that too, which will be nice. Yeah, that should help out with the research, which our physical damage is increasing. What have we got left to research? Yep, weapon shooting speed. And then we're starting to get onto these things, the modular armor, the modules to increase effectivity, speed, all that kind of stuff. And there you go, cliff explosives. We're going to actually do that as our next research. That'll be handy for later on. And electricity accumulators, we'll get those as well. We will need batteries for those. Batteries are going to need sulfuric acid. Acid is from oil and water, and plates. It makes it into acid. And there's our chemical science pack. That requires engines, sulfur, and advanced circuits. We are nowhere near that yet. We aren't even going to bother trying to unlock that for the moment. But as you can see, it takes 2 engines. You see the speed it takes to build an engine. This is going to be quite an intensive one later, but you do get a lot of good stuff out of this once you've built it. It will show you here. Goes to uranium processing, lasers, much better trains, much better electrical distribution. There's a lot more comes out of this, but for the moment it's a little bit out of our reach, and we will get to it. Just for the moment we won't need to or won't be able to. So we'll keep on going with the research we can do. We'll probably reach a bit of a threshold where we can't actually do any more research till we unlock this blue science. So we'll do all the ones we can, and then we'll be in our expansion phase by then anyway. So hopefully we'll be ready to unlock it by that point. Okay, the copper supply has now started to deplete as well. As I said before, this game becomes a bit of an arms race in building and rebuilding and building more and building more. So I'm just going to put a few more of these miners in here. This should be a quick, easy way to bolster that supply. Oh, let's try not to do them in a zigzag. We'll try and do them in a bit more of a pattern. Need to make sure we're not going to pick up any iron with this one. Yes, that's going to pick up iron and copper, which we don't want to do. We don't want to mix the belts. That would be a huge disaster. Creates blockages and issues later down the line. So I'm going to actually cover the rest of this in copper miners for now, because it will help us later down the line. There we go. Let's keep the copper going for quite a while. I've just grabbed what I can from here. We'll exploit all this out and tear all this out, and we've got massive copper reserves elsewhere, so we can use those. This is just really to clear the space down here, that we don't patch over it later. I don't like wasting resources, to be fair. I don't like to see them sitting in the ground when I could have used them. So yeah, this is filling the belt up quite nicely now, except I've just realised I've done a very stupid thing there, and I've put both sides of the belt into one. I will quickly fix that by cutting that off there, and just going over this, grabbing it off of here. And now I've done a stupid thing there. I put coal down both sides of that belt. So let me just correct this stupid mistake, and slap myself on the wrists for doing it. This is going to look horrendous, but it is just a temporary measure until the next temporary measure comes along. There we go. That should help. Oh god, right, let's clear this off the belt here. Got a bit more coal. Throw this into these furnaces. Oh, there you go, that went quick. And some copper we'll throw that into. Lovely, get rid of that. Tidies up nicely. Any iron to throw away? No, no iron to throw away. Good. How much are we doing in copper wise? Oh, we haven't got much copper left on ourselves. We'll go and grab the box there, and grab a few of those out of there. While we're doing that, we'll just get some of these built just in our inventory. There we go. So we've got a lovely nice thick belt of copper, big thick belt of iron, big thick belt of coal. Let's just exploit a bit more of that coal as well, just so we're getting the full amount. So we've got another 2,000 there. That's good. There we go. Don't want to run out anytime soon. How are we doing electricity wise? Yeah, so we probably are going to want to expand that a little bit. Probably not at the moment. Once we start putting more and more factories down, this is going to get worse. You can see how nice blue water when we started the game is now nice and green. Lovely. Murky. And I have noticed we've also got a lot more of these bugs coming in up here. And we are running a little lower on ammo. So I did grab a few more. He has made 15 kills. This guy, a lot more. So we'll distribute this among these guys. There we go, they should have a few more magazines. Oh, look at that, good timing. Yes, there you go. It's good though, they don't get anywhere near the wall, which is nice, but I've got plenty more walls here if I need them. I'm not sure where those ones came from. Suspecting probably there's a base up here somewhere that's not in the radar view, because these guys aren't getting aggravated yet. I will go and take care of them at some point though. This slot here we can probably get rid of. Don't need any of this anymore. Got us still working nicely. Oh balls, didn't want to do that, did I? Right, I'll fix that in a second. There we go. Right, let's make that a blue factory. Make it a bit quicker that way. There you go. This is still just our factory for making our ammunition. Oh, that's slow. Let's boost him up a little. It's just so we've got some weapons on the front line. We don't necessarily need to be high level power, high level ammunition. Just keeps it going as much as possible there. The iron is still going slowly. Slowly. There's some coal into these. There we go. As you can see, your inventory starts to fill up quite quickly once you get more and more stuff, and there's probably a few things we can dump off, but we do want to keep a lot of this stuff on us for later. We are going to need everything, especially once we move ourselves down to a base. Oh, look at that. We've got iron contaminating our belt. Let's cut that right off there. See if we can catch any of that before it goes through. Yeah, I think we caught it. No, there's another bit there. Oh, I got that one there, look, missed it. So this is what happens, there's obviously a contaminated belt somewhere. So we need to make sure that we get all that iron out of that belt. There's one of these, probably... No. One of these is taking in iron and copper. That one. There we go, you're gone. We'll have to just clean that out quickly. Get the iron off the belt. I think we got it all. Okay, let's connect that back up again. Minor setback, bit annoying, never mind, is what it is. So now we're going to have to go in here and throw this copper into these. And the iron into these. Get rid of the damn stuff. Once we have our logistics bots up and running, we won't be doing any of this ourselves. This will all be managed electronically, remotely, automatically, whatever you want to call it. I wonder if we should get some more coal on these just so we're exploiting every time. Always be exploiting. Which way do we want that to go? I think we want it to go this way. Just for now. Pop that onto there. Just to get rid of it. Actually, do you know what? We can probably do that into there. It balances out nicely. It saves a bit of time and effort. Power-wise, we are all good. Okay. I think we've got everything we need there. The iron supply is running a little low. I wonder if there's a reason for that. No, looks like it's still good. Bricks, doing good. One of the reasons we want to get loads of bricks is because we can make pathways with them. And that's quite nice because then we can run between stuff and it's a little quicker. I'm not going to do it right now though. We seem to have plenty of walls queued up as well, which is good. We'll just grab a few of them. We're going to need a couple more. I could get about 500, I think. Yeah, it should be right. And there's our railways. Let's grab a few hundred of those. As you can see, this is starting to now fill our things up, our inventories up quite a lot. We've got enough now to build a locomotive and 3 of those. No more steel on there. Let's grab a few more steel plates for that. And then that will be essentially going to be our first train. Now, we don't need a train stop yet, but we will grab 2 anyway. We want a to and a from. And what else do we want? We want some fluid wagons maybe. We'll do those later. Okay, so that's essentially our first train ready to go. We need to lay it down. Where are we going to lay it? Oh, look, we run out of ammunition down here. That's a dangerous manoeuvre. Okay, let's fill that one. And we'll fill that one there. Okay. That could have been a better timing to do that, couldn't it? Let's consolidate all that into there. And we will grab 200 there. And we'll grab 100 there and 100 there. For the moment, that's a lot better ammunition. That's going to be much more powerful. That would chew them to pieces quite quickly. we do need to get our oil up and running to get our flamethrower turrets up. We can build the flamethrower turrets. We've got them. They're ready to be built. We have the engines, we have all the stuff we need to build them. We just need to build the infrastructure and actually get the oil out of the ground as well, which would be the main thing. There you go, as our first train built, as our engines, as our track. I'm going to put the track actually on our hotbar as well. Let's pop that down there for a moment. Right, just going to get rid of a few things, do a little tidy up on my inventory, and then we're going to start putting this track down. So just as an aside, I've actually replaced all these burners here for the iron with the newer upgraded furnaces, and what they're doing, they're absolutely chewing through all of the iron to the point where they're starving each other. So what I've done, I've just made some red belts, and if we put these red belts down over the yellow ones, the speed is so much better that the iron actually goes all the way through the belts, and it should get to the end and feed these other guys. And there we go. So it's actually going to get through quicker, which means this belt will absolutely hammer this down here. And there we go, we'll improve our speed of getting our iron out. It should prevent any slowdown. And yeah, it's just going to chew through these resources. It seems to be actually quite a good amount there. I don't think if we had any more furnaces here, the others would get any more. I think these guys here will actually make a good job of chewing up this belt of iron. So obviously if we need to do any more iron smelting, we will need an entire other column like this with another belt of coal, another belt of iron, to just get the same results of iron coming out. So yeah, just thought I'd point that out as I'm going through. Okay, I've had to take a little bit of time out to make some adjustments to the plan.
Because it's all part of the plan.
But I think we can't really avoid the fact that we need oil, and we need to get our defences up and running. We're absolutely getting destroyed on this southern wall at the moment. They're actually piling in quite quickly. So we've got biters gathering in numbers there. As soon as they get to a certain level, then they'll attack and come in and get us. I've also seen on our map that right in the north, there's actually a new base that's grown. They've decided to spawn a new base up there. So at some point they'll actually start to attack as well. And they've actually been taking a northern wall down as well. So what I've done is I've gotten into the oil here, and I've just got ourselves a couple of these tanks here. They're slowly filling up, and what they're doing, they're connected to all of these flamethrower turrets, which are covering us quite nicely there and there. And they will protect this area. We are going to have to use all of this oil as much as possible. There's quite a lot of it. It's not an infinite supply. It does run out eventually, but then you do get a little dribs and drabs here and there from it. So what I've done, I've connected it here and here so that we're protected from each side, because obviously we want to make sure this is covered at all times. And I've run the oil line up here. What eventually we will do is put in some refineries once we've expanded a bit more, and refine the oil into light oil and heavy oil. And this will give us better weapons coverage and better efficiencies on that. So I've put in a flamethrower here this side. I've left these two gun turrets in to support it, just as an in case it gets too big. I'm actually going to start putting these turrets down here as flame turrets as well, or at least support these guns with some flame turrets, just because the numbers that we're getting in here are horrendous at the moment. There's a huge amount of biters coming in this side. We will have to eventually go out and start destroying the biter bases, but I think for now let's just defend against them and get rid of them later on. So yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to run the oil off of these pipes over here, across here, underground belts, pipes, and we'll go from there. Okay, I think we've made our point with the oil now. We've got quite a substantial defense along our southern border. As you can see, we're getting quite a substantial build up of bugs along our southern border as well. We've got quite a pile massing up here. You can see these purple ones. These purple ones are actually larger bugs. They're more evolved. They're more powerful. They've got a lot more damage resistance, but they aren't resistant against fire. So when they come running up here, they get a nice little barbecue, which is good. They die quite quickly. We've got two lines of defense in our walls, which is nice. These guys here don't have a chance. They're just like waves crashing against the rocks, so they're dead essentially. And we've got all this coming through from these pipes here. As you can see, obviously we've got our oil supply here. This isn't the best oil supply we've got. We have got more oil on the map we've seen. It's all the way over here. It's not a huge amount of that. That won't last us a lot through the game. We will need more. We will need more oil. But I think what we're going to do, we're going to leave this one here. Now that we've got some defences in, feel a lot better about where we're at. And sitting on a hill next to my car. That reminds me of a film about post-apocalyptic wastelands and oil. Something about road warriors. Anyway, so I think we'll leave it here. We'll definitely get this train running up in the next episode. We couldn't do it this episode, unfortunately, just because of the fact that we need to get the oil up and running. And we'll get the trains and the oil processing up, I think, next time for getting our oil refined. So thank you very much. I will see you next time. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.